Hey guys, hello and welcome back to my channel. And in today's masterclass, we are going to understand everything, each and every part of your individual report. So individual report is a component of global perspective. It is a report which you have to write over a period of your IGCSE tenure on your own, and get the best part about this particular report is you have a lot of opportunities to correct it over a period of time. So it is extremely and crucially important to know the right strategy to write this particular report. In today's masterclass, we are going to understand everything about this particular report. Also, if you are not yet following me on my Instagram handle, check the link here, check the Instagram handle here, the details here. Do not forget to follow me on my Insta handle. And if you want to watch the complete playlist of global perspective, please watch the same, and also do not forget to share it with your team members, at least your GP team members. So let's start with our class. Let's move on to my screen now. As you can see on my screen, I always tell this in all my classes that before we begin this class, I would want all of you to grab a notebook and a pen. I would recommend that please make a separate notebook for my master classes. A single 100 pages book will also help, because whatever I show on my screen and whatever I speak, both the components are crucially important. Whatever sometimes I speak, it's not there on my screen, and it's better to jot it down in your notebook. Sit in a distraction-free room because you need to focus for next half an hour at least. So let's get started with our first part, that is your marks distribution. As you all can see on my screen, individual report carries 60 marks. So your global perspective is for how many marks? It's for 200 marks, and out of 200 marks, 60 mark is for your individual report. Next, candidates writes an individual report on one global topic from a choice of 8. So you have to choose one single global topic, form the topic of discussion, and then write about it. Then write an individual report based on whatever topic you have chosen. With the guidance of the teacher, candidates choose from one of the specified topic areas, devise a global research question. Now, very important keyword over here is global. Whatever research question you are developing should be a global research question. It should not only focus at your national or your local level, but it should be a major issue globally, or major point of attention globally. Very, very, very crucial part over here is please get it approved correctly from your teacher. Whenever I approved global research question, I am too stringent with the right question, because the question itself is going to decide what you're going to write in your individual reports. So please trust your teachers and get it approved. Brainstorm, understand what you need to put in, research, because this one sentence, what you're going to devise now, is going to create a complete report which is going to help you to score better marks. Okay, your report must be between 1500 to 2000 words. Okay, now let's look at the topics. As you all can see on my screen, we have to choose from 8 different topics for individual report. So first topic, as you can see, is belief systems, biodiversity and ecosystem laws, changing communities, digital world, family, humans and other species, sustainable living, trade and aid. If you closely understand that these topics can be interlinked with your existing subjects. Very important thing over here is, if you see, you cannot end up researching separately for each and every topic. The smart way to choose the topic is, let's say if you are a bio student, you can choose biodiversity and ecosystem laws. Okay, if you are social science student, you can choose belief system. If you are a computer student, you can easily choose digital world. So while choosing the topic, look at your other subjects, look at the other subjects that you have chosen, and then accordingly match it up with one of the topics from these 8 topics. Because what will happen while you're preparing yourself for those subjects, simultaneously it will go parallel to your preparation. And the most important part is when you are supposed to do critical thinking and analysis, which is a crucial part in global perspective, and that is the major reason why this particular subject is devised. You will be able to understand that this particular subject is going to be of a... Okay, just a moment. I think I forgot to start recording this thing. Okay. Alright, so you are going to, so most important thing over here is mapping your existing subjects with the topic you are choosing for your global individual report. Now moving to the next part, that is how to write an IR, that is your individual report. Candidates write an individual report on one global topic from a choice of 8. With the guidance of your teacher, you can choose from one of the specified topic areas in the syllabus. Very important, what did I say? Map it with your existing subjects. Okay, so if you are a bio student, you can choose topics of biodiversity and ecosystem laws, or you can choose humans and other species. If you are a social science student, you can choose belief system, you can choose family. If you are an economic student, you can choose trade and aid. Map it with your existing subject. That is the point I want to make over here. Now moving on to the next part, that's your mark scheme. So 40 marks, as you can see on my screen, is allocated for research, analysis and evaluation. Understand, out of 60 marks, 40 marks are allocated over here. So this part, that is your research, analysis and evaluation, are of utmost importance. Researches and analysis, so basically students should be researching and analyzing a balanced range of relevant information from different perspectives, and that is the reason I always tell my students to choose the subjects, to choose the topics which maps with their chosen subjects for IGCSE. So if you are existingly studying that particular subject, you will by default have a lot of knowledge about it, and you can do a critical analysis and thinking, which will further help you to write a better individual report. So it is all linked together. You should present different perspectives, all 3 types of perspectives, in detailed and specific format. Don't just give overview. You are writing a 2000 words individual report. You cannot just skim through the topic. Whatever you choose to write, make sure you're explaining that in detail. Not only explanation, but also giving your personal response. Global perspective is all about personal response. So if you're not giving a nice perspective and personal responses to the topic, you will end up straight away losing a lot of marks. Okay, these should be supported with explanation and information you have found about the issue. Okay, so of course, whatever issue you have chosen, you can talk about it and explain that in detail. Now next part is analysis in depth and causes and consequences. So understand these words. While you are planning your draft, you have to plan from these perspectives. So here what did you write? Balanced range. Okay, I'll just highlight it with a different color so you guys can note it down. So this is a yellow color thing that I'm highlighting. Balanced range from a different perspective. So local, personal, national, global, all perspective. Analysis of causes and consequences, very important aspect. So while you're planning only, write these keywords first, 1 keyword per page, and then write down all the points that come in your mind while you're researching, while you're brainstorming, while you're thinking, whatever. Then you choose the best ones from amongst them. Of course, you can't end up writing for all. It's not, as I told you, you have to write for 2000 words. Get in detail, be specific, relevant and non-repetitive. Very important. What did I say? Specific, relevant and non-repetitive. Specific, relevant and most important, non-repetitive. You are not going to get any extra marks for writing the same thing over and over again and after rephrasing the sentences and the words. So be specific, relevant and non-repetitive. I am emphasizing that a lot, so please make sure that you register that in your heads. Now next is so what we were talking about, causes and consequences of relevant issues, and makes pertinent, well thought out and successful comparisons. Okay, pertinent, well thought out and successful. What you need to note over here is, when I say pertinent, well thought out and successful, that can only happen when you dedicate a single page for the research. You write down these keywords, you write down all the points that come in your head, and then you identify the best ones, and then you elaborate on those best points. Okay. Proposes well developed and relevant courses of action. Now, what is the keyword over here? Course of action. So first, what did you do? First, you gave different perspective. Then you wrote causes and consequences. Then you gave all the courses of action, drawing clear and fully supported conclusion. So first you gave different perspective. Then you talked about causes and consequences. Then you talked about course of action with clear and fully supported conclusion. That is your evidences and stats. Okay. Now, I'll just erase this part. Then, okay, yeah, you can note it down. I'll just write it neatly. Evidences and stats. Evaluate source of information, making 3 or more appropriate and developed points of evaluation. As I mentioned at the start only, write down all the points in detail. Once you do that, figure out the best ones, elaborate on those points, give your perspective and personal responses on those points, and then also, so what is the meaning of definition? What is the meaning of developed point? When I say developed, it is nothing but well thought, evaluated, analyzed and described point. That can only happen if you're following the strategy that I just shared. Alright. How many points are you expected to write? 3 or more. I always recommend to take at least 5 to 6 good points if you want to get maximum marks. 3 are the minimum number of points. Understand, you should have enough data to write. It should be non-repetitive. So stick to more than 3 points. Okay. Let's understand learner-friendly explanation. You should write about the causes and consequences of the main issue. You should explain and give examples, information about both causes and consequences. You should include some comparison. So you know the technique of compare and contrast in language. Same technique needs to be well utilized in this particular area. You should present a course of action that might solve either the main issue or the cause of the issue or some of the consequences of the issue. So basically, what action should be taken? Again, when I'm talking about the action, you have to take the action at 3 levels. Personal level, local level, national level, and global level. Remember this acronym, PLNG. Courses of action at what an individual can take, what local authorities can take, what can national authorities take, what can global international authorities can think about to sort out that issue. After you write that, also write what could be the effect after taking all these action. How much time it would take to reverse the effect, the negative consequences that we are currently facing for the problem that you have described. Talk about it in detail. You should give details of who might carry out the course of action, and that is what I just talked about in detail. So what I gave you a ready-made template. Just simply replicate that in your answer. You should evaluate some of your sources. So what you are doing here is you are evaluating whatever sources you have, and you must make different points about them. You will not be credited for repeating the same. As I said, keep it specific, relevant and non-repetitive. Very, very, very important. Okay, moving on to the next part, that is your reflection. So reflection simply carries 5 marks. What is reflection? After writing everything what we talked about in the previous part, we are just justifying whatever final perspective that you are giving. You're just justifying that. Basically, you are compiling the evidences to prove your point. Simple as that. You're compiling all the evidences to prove your point. You should write about what you have learned and how your perspective has changed by doing this research. You should discuss how you have been affected by the information you found, the different perspective you read, and the sources you used. Okay. Next is your communication. Communication is nothing but your vocabulary. For that, you need to polish your English language, because this paper is going to be in English only, and for that check out the English playlist, that is basically IGCSE English playlist in the description below, wherein you will learn all the concepts of English. Okay. Next, relevant arguments, well structured and cohesive, comprehensive, very simple. Relevant arguments, evidence and perspectives are presented clearly and effectively. This can only happen if you have a good practice of writing your English directed writing or extended writing. Citation and referencing of source are in consistent format and complete. I am going to conduct a separate class on how to cite things in global perspective. So if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, you are too late. You should be doing it by now because already it's past around 15 minutes of time. So you should be doing it right away if you really want to improve your scores. Okay, you should plan your essay so that it's easy to follow your argument. Same thing what we do in English. You should present the different elements clearly. You can use subheadings. You should use one method to show your references. You should give references for all sources you use in your essay. The last part talks about the citation, which we are going to take up in a separate class. It's a big topic on its own. I won't club it now because it will extend the class beyond your sitting capacity, that is for 30 minutes. So yeah, we can do it after the class. You can save the playlist and subscribe to this channel. I have chosen few exemplars over here to understand how you can frame the points. Very simple exemplar. So the topic is changing communities. Okay, should it be mandatory for all countries to accept refugees? Okay, now what is a comment from the examiner? The question raises a global issue. Yes, it says should. We understand that this question, that this is a question that people have different views on and can be answered yes it should, no it shouldn't. So you have to write a nice open-ended question. Please don't write a close-ended question as a title because that will narrow down the perspectives that you can answer from. So it is important to write an open-ended question. And simple strategy I tell my students to do is, if you are attending my power classes, you will know this strategy. I discuss a lot more strategies in the power classes, which is niching down to the crux of the whole concepts in detail and giving you the ready-made templates to be executed, because at least if you execute that, you should be scoring like at least 10 to 15% more than what you were. And if you evaluate, analyze and apply, then you are going to ace the examination. Okay, so open-ended question, very simple strategy is when you ask yourself that question, you should get different answers. You should be able to frame at least 5 different points from that question. That is a simple technique I tell my students to always follow, especially in my power classes. If you would want to be aware of the schedule of power classes, please stay tuned on my Insta handle. Alright, moving on to the next part, that is refugee is a person. So this is an example given over here. What I would recommend you all to do is, please, okay, read it, pause the video here, read it once and then we will discuss. So first, if you see, the candidate gives an introduction. So basically the candidate is first explaining who is refugee, and then as per the statistics, so the candidate has given what is the source of information and how many people are affected. So whether the candidate is basically convincing if it is a global issue. Okay, and then the candidate talks about the cause. So what do you understand from here? You should to introduce, explain the center word. Here, what is our center word? The refugee. Please write the source. Don't give your personal explanation for the same. Explain. So I would say create that impact. How can you create that impact? By big numbers. If I tell you that 65 million people have been forced to flee their homes and become refugees. It's a big number, yes, isn't it? So that sentence itself is creating a big impact through numbers. Okay, I'll need to take a small pause and have a sip of water. Alright, so now the next thing that we are going to understand is what they have written here. So before I start, please read it once, pause over here and read it once. Alright, so the economic impact that refugees have on their host countries is heavily debated. According to 2015 article written by CNN, Authentic sources, very important. The strain on Germany and Europe is too much for them to sustain over a long period of time. Germany accepted over 800,000 refugees and spent nearly $6.5 billion on them. People are worried that they will not be able to continue supporting them at the pace they are doing now. But according to UNHCR, the United Nations Refugee Agency, when refugees enter the host country, they create both positive and negative impacts on the economy. They take the stand that is mostly a strain on the economy. Why? Because they are not very financially stable, and that is why they end up taking a slight strain. So this is how you are going to write. More than what I'm showing you here, when you write down things, okay, we can keep an open panel discussion in the comments below in the video. So you can put, I would not recommend you to post a complete idea of what you're doing, because that might end up causing an issue of plagiarism. So you can just discuss about what are the brainstorm the pointers briefly, don't get into depth. Okay, next is I think this is the conclusion, so wherein the personal perspective is clearly given over here, and putting myself in their shoes, such words, such phrases helps. Of course, I have given all the students of my power classes the list of phrases that they should be using. So I will try to link that document in the description below, or just put it down, put the phrases here in the comments below. All right, next is your again some other things. What I would request all of you to do is just read it once, and then let's go ahead with the rubrics, the checklist. Okay, so here we go with the checklist. Some common mistakes. Okay, common mistakes: research question which is too difficult to answer, too vague, or just about one country, so that it is not about a global issue. I talked about it before. No issue in the research question or in the introduction, just a general topic. It should be genuinely an issue impacted by a huge number of people. Please don't take very simple issue that you are getting impacted with, or your classroom, why we should not get homework or we should not do. Don't take such issue, for God's sake. Take something which is significant and substantial. Not descriptive essays. Candidates give a lot of information with no discussion about what anyone thinks about. No, you're not supposed to write descriptive essays. You are supposed to write a report wherein you are going to follow the rule that I have talked about before in the video. Not addressing one or more of the assessment criteria, especially the course of action, reflection and evaluation. And no perspective. You are just simply talking about this had happened, that had happened, citing the sources, but you're not giving any perspective from different points of views, because to do that you need to analyze and evaluate, and only then you will be able to do that. Okay, describe situation instead of explaining what anyone thought or felt bad about the issue. No causes. Some candidates did not provide any explanation about why the issue had happened or what might make the people behave in certain ways. No sign of analysis, no explanation, discussion, just lots of information. Course of action listed, not relevant. What did I say? Stay relevant, specific and non-repetitive. RSN. That is the acronym. Relevant, specific and non-repetitive. Okay. There are a few more points to be discussed, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the video here and straight away move to the end of the video of part 1 of IR. That is the decision I'm taking right now. It was not pre-planned. So I'll break the video here. I'll talk about the next part of the video, that is the checklist for IR, in the next half. So stay tuned. Until then, go and research the questions, come back to my class and watch the next video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.